Hello, hello everyone. Good afternoon. How is everyone? And good evening to some people, right? My East Coast friends, it's evening, isn't it? Um, so I'm excited today that I'm going to be interviewing my friend Brenda, who interviewed me last week. But she has her own beautiful story on cancer and surviving it. So, breast cancer to be specific. And unfortunately, these days we have so many women. Let me bring her on. Hold on. Here we go. I'm adding her on. She'll be on in a second before I start talking about Miss Beautiful Brenda. Here she comes. So, there she is.
Here I
Yay,
am.
Brenda.
Sorry. I was trying to get
Wonderful.
my
Wonderful.
system up. There we go.
So I was just sharing with everyone that we're going to talk about your beautiful story of surviving breast cancer. Last week, I'm
Yeah.
so grateful that you interviewed me, and I said, well, let me interview you because you have a great story of survival, not only breast cancer but dealing with autoimmune disease. And so Brenda has been a top executive in human resources for many, many years until unfortunately her health had to kind of bring her out of that because of what was going on. So she had to work on herself. Um, but she's a motivational speaker. She motivates me when I hear her speak. She's so brilliant and beautiful, has a heart of gold, and is on a mission to bless people and change their lives and give people hope when they're in a situation, being diagnosed with breast cancer, with any cancer, right? I have my own story, but you feel hopeless, and you need hope. You need to believe that you can overcome this. And I know that your story is beautiful. So I want to just turn it to you and start sharing with us kind of the stuff you've been through.
Wow. Thank you, Maria. I'm super excited to be on with you today. And I love the idea of you were on my page and just sharing your amazing story. And now I love the fact that I can now share with your community my story. And so, like you mentioned, I was corporate human resources. I loved what I was doing. I was thriving. And I always, my passion for health and for what I do comes from the fact that I had my health and then lost my health. My health journey starts even before the breast cancer diagnosis. So let me take folks back to where it actually started, because one of the things that, people that we try to educate people about is that when your body has been under like just an onslaught of issues, when your immune system is compromised, and when you have such high levels of inflammation, that absolutely leads to cell mutation. So I had so many issues. I was always that healthy person. So if someone's listening to this and they're saying, I can't relate to what they're talking about because I am totally healthy, there's no way that I can get sick, or that can even be my story remotely, what I would say is you want to definitely listen, because life happened for me in 2004. I was completely healthy. I would only go to the doctors one time a year. My mother had cancer 3 times. She died at the age of 52. And when she died at the age of 52, she didn't die from cancer. She died from the side effects of chemo and radiation therapy. So me and my other sisters, we were always really good about going to the doctor for our annual checkups, right? And I remember my doctor saying, you're one of my favorite patients, Brenda, because I never see you. He saw me once a year. But all of a sudden, 2004, I woke up one morning, and as Maria, and as we always say, I'll take a step back. As I share my story, please understand that we're not making claims that we're preventing, treating, mitigating disease, but literally when we're activating our bodies to do the work, our bodies do the magic, right? So I just wanted to preface that. So for me, I was always that healthy girl, super active, energizer bunny. And then one morning I woke up with hives, rashes, welts all over my body, nonstop itching. Like, imagine that you're in a bathtub full of fire ants, nonstop itching. The doctors couldn't figure out what was going on. So I also grew up in a household where when the doctor said take XYZ drug. You took it without question because the doctors were the experts. So I was put on all these medications, really strong pharmaceuticals with a lot of side effects. And it was like the dam was broken open, because after suffering from what they call autoimmune urticaria, which is that chronic itching, which, by the way, no joke, it never stopped from 2004 to 2011. Never stopped the itching. It did not matter what pharmaceutical I was on, the itching never stopped. And then I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia, got sicker and sicker, chronic fatigue syndrome, fatty liver disease, chronic vertigo, chronic nausea. I was just so sick because things kept piling. I ended up on 24 prescription medications. One of the worst parts of being sick like that was that I lost who I was. I lost who Brenda was. I had a lot of cognitive dysfunction. So if you can imagine, you're operating at your healthiest, you're operating at the top levels of your company, because I was a executive, executive vice president. And you can't remember details. You can't remember numbers. You can't remember conversations. I couldn't even remember my boss's name. So I go from flying high to literally being humbled, losing my identity, losing my purpose. And then from 2000, and then from that time, just really struggling to get my life back, right? So at my sickest, I was 20 hours a day in bed. I was on 24 prescription medications, praying for something. And that is when our company's flagship product, Nrf2 activation, it came to us. I tell people, this company, I didn't find it. It found me and Randy. And a young man, 24 years old, I will always love Ryan Jackson. He's my angel. He introduced my husband to this, and he basically, he found out that I was homesick. And he simply asked a question. He said, would you be willing to watch an ABC primetime investigative report that features the product that I rep for? That's what he asked my husband. And I'm so grateful. My husband's a retired police officer. So police officers can be pretty skeptical, right? But he said he had a sick wife. So he said yes, that he would take a look at it. He's also a man of his word. And I'm so grateful for that, because when he got home, he watched the ABC investigative report. He got me out of bed and I watched it. And Maria, I had been praying for something. I remember laying in bed, not able to move, with all these different symptoms, going to the doctors 3 and 4 days a week, any doctor, any specialist ending in ologist, I was seeing that person, right? And they just kept throwing more drugs at me with nothing that was helping me to get better. And I just remember also, for a type A personality, even though I was sick in bed, I felt like I should be doing something. I felt like I wasn't living my purpose. And I just kept saying, God, what's my purpose? What's my purpose? I just want something that will help me feel just a little bit better, just even incrementally, just a little bit better. So when I saw that ABC primetime report, I was like, that's it. I literally saw it and I said, what if this is the thing? The science, wasn't familiar with all the science, but it just made sense to me. And I said to myself, I have nothing to lose and everything to gain. And if someone's listening to this right now and you're that sick person and you're saying, nope, I don't want to try one more thing. I'm tired of this and that and, just being that guinea pig. But here's the thing. It was the one more thing that gave me my life back. And it's not magic. It's your body doing the work. It's lowering that inflammation. It's activating this pathway in the body called the Nrf2 pathway. That pathway is being so heavily studied by research institutions. And so I said, I have nothing to lose. And I'm so grateful that I did. And I'm grateful that I gave it time, because some people, they've been sick for a long time and they take something that's all natural, that's plant-based, and they're thinking it should work like a Tylenol or an aspirin. And it's not going to work that way, because it's your body self-correcting. It's your body doing the work. So I love the person that shared this with us, because they said, you got to give it time, Brenda. And everyone's bodies are different, but literally for me, after 3 months of being Nrf2 activated, I literally felt like the clouds had parted. So many things self-corrected for me then. I just, you know, that chronic itching that hadn't stopped from 2004 to 2011, it stopped, you guys. It stopped, Maria. I was able to get out of bed. I was able to start doing things with my husband. My husband, all he used to do when I was at my sickest was, he was basically a single guy, right? So we couldn't make plans because we would get up to do something and then I would crash. Like literally we could be 5 to 10 minutes from getting ready to go out the door and I would crash and I would look at him feeling super guilty, having to say, we can't do this. I'm sick again. So, and again, without making plans.
Yeah. And that's the thing when you have, being involved in this wellness industry now for 9 years, one thing that I know is a common thread is if you're tired, something's going on in your body. That is the first sign. And now when I think back of my journey, that's exactly what happened to me. Is I just started feeling run down and tired. And I just thought, oh, I'm getting older. And this is how you feel, right? You're crashing at 5, 6, 7 p.m., right? No more energy. I'm done. And that's not the case because that's not how I feel today. And I know that's not how you feel today.
Exactly.
So for those of you watching this, when you're tired, that is not normal, right? And it's very simple to explain because something's going on. So your body's trying to heal. So when does it heal? It heals at night. So you typically don't sleep well because your body's trying to do all this healing while you're resting. And then you wake up and you're still tired. So it's this vicious circle of not sleeping well and being tired. And I tell people all the time, that's the first sign. Like that's what we need to be aware of is when you're feeling tired and run down, that's not normal. Something is going on inside your body. And that's when you start to have to look at how can I take this into my own hands and look at prevention? You know, what can I do? You know, so
taking control of our own situation, not being a victim, not expecting the doctor to have all the solutions, but really understanding that there are natural options out there that we can have and we can take back control. So literally, Maria, after 3 months, I felt like I was alive again. And I just was like so happy, right? And let me show you a visual because I really believe that when people can see things, it makes it real for them. So this was my cocktail. At my sickest, this was my cocktail, you guys. We would spend Sunday nights organizing these for the next week. I would sit there with my husband organizing these. And then to be able to get off of all of those, I was super happy, right? I was celebrating, but life wasn't done with me yet. And you and I talked about this before. Things happen for us, not to us. So we started the product in 2011 in August. November, I had a mammogram and I had a needle biopsy. And 2 days before Thanksgiving, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And so found out subsequently after some additional tests that it was both breasts and it was in my lymph nodes. So everyone, whenever there's a cancer diagnosis, I always talk about having no judgment whatsoever on what decision a person makes for treatment, whether they're going to go completely natural, whether they're going to do chemo, whether they're going to do some integrative approach, chemo and some natural options. That was the choice that I made for me, was to do chemo, radiation, and to also integrate natural options to protect my body. Because the reality is when my mother passed away at the age of 52, she didn't pass away from cancer. It was a side effect. So I wanted to protect my body as much as possible during this journey. And what was interesting is, and again, we're not doctors, we're not giving medical advice here, but I made a personal decision to keep taking our Nrf2 activator during my journey, during my chemotherapy, because I wanted to protect my body. And what it did for me was I didn't have a lot of the side effects that other folks had. Like I did not have the nausea, I didn't have the vomiting, I didn't have a lot of the recurrent infections that others do. Don't get me wrong, chemotherapy was rough. I literally, toward the end, felt like I was on a cliff hanging by my fingernails, right? But here's what's interesting. My doctor, my oncologist, she would say to me, Brenda, your blood work is amazing. Brenda, even after 6 rounds of really aggressive, what's called TAC, my doctor said, your blood work looks like that of a person that's 8 to 12 months out of chemo.
Wow.
That my blood work looked like that. So, you know, what I had hoped to accomplish, I had accomplished, right? And I didn't have, like I said before, I didn't have those recurrent infections. And I remember there were other patients that were having similar treatments to me, and they were just worse off. So making a personal decision to do chemo with some integrative approaches to support my body was the right decision for me, because I got to tell you, I'll be 8 years remission at the end of this year. And yeah, I'm celebrating. I tell you, I'm celebrating. And I just don't have a lot of the other types of side effects that people have after they've gone through chemo, whether it's joint issues or some of the other types of really,
neuropathy.
No neuropathy. Some people have residual heart issues. I don't have those types of issues post chemo, and I really have to attribute it to the other things I was doing. And so, I just, the incidences of cancer, the projection, 1 in 8 women are projected to have cancer. And we've talked about this before, where it's really about environmental factors. It's not about, oh, my mother had it, therefore I'm, because we're able to biohack. We talk about biohacking. We're able to, activate our bodies and biohack and impact through the science, whether genes are expressed or not. So you may have a family history of a particular issue, but if you can biohack it, if you can turn your body's own pathways on, you can have an impact over whether those pathways are impacted, whether those genes are expressed or not. And so, I've got this story, and I share my story because I don't want people to have my story, right? So
Exactly.
We know that cancer is based upon oxidative stress, which is that free radical damage, the inflammation. Cancer is linked to mitochondrial dysfunction and poor gut health. Those are 3 key indicators, 3 key components that lead to cancer, and that you want to address if a person has cancer. So for me, the way I look at things now is, if someone does have a history of cancer or just any type of autoimmune issue, right, that they're wanting to address those factors, and we have solutions for those. And then here's the other piece. I was listening to a webinar by 2 of our amazing doctors, and they're talking about, so a person goes through chemotherapy or their treatment, and then they don't change anything in their behavior. So what happens is there's this 70% reoccurrence rate that's out there, right? Well, to prevent cancer, you need to lower those things. You need to lower oxidative stress. You have to improve your mitochondrial function. You have to work on your gut health. And so for me, what I do now is, as I talk to individuals that have been diagnosed with cancer, I'm talking to them about addressing those 3 key elements, because a person's fought the good fight, and you don't want them to go through that experience again, Yeah. It's been a blessing to be able to share. It's been a blessing to be able to get off of all those prescription medications. It feels good to be in my body. When I think back to what it felt like to be in bed 20 hours a day, to be in chronic pain, I'm so grateful that those days are behind me. And the thing is in the last 8 years, as I've talked to people, me and my husband, as we've talked to people, we've been able to see people's health transformations. And that's what just, fills me up.
Yeah. I know when I talk to people, there's one key thing that you said is, that, maybe you've tried a lot of different things, right? But I say, well, what if you have you tried Nrf2 activation? Has anything that you've tried, was it an Nrf2 activator? Because I know it wasn't, because, you know, 99.9% of people don't even know what an Nrf2 activator is.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
You know, they have no clue what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So that's my question. Have you tried an Nrf2 activator? Oh, but so-and-so said that this other thing would work and it didn't work. Okay, that didn't work. But do we stop there, right? Did Thomas Edison stop at 9,000 failures, or did he go 10,000 to get, you know, to invent the light bulb, right? Did Ford stop? Did the Wright brothers stop the first time because they couldn't get, you know, the plane to fly, right? Imagine all the things we have today if those people had stopped, right? So I think if you're on a health journey, you never stop. You're always searching for an answer. Like even though I'm at this great point, I'm always trying to find out what's out there new, what else is out there to keep protecting my body. Because unfortunately, we're bombarded by things and toxins that are everywhere and even hidden that you don't know, right? You're always being exposed. So your body's in this constant battle, right? We want all this technology, but there is consequences to it. You know, it's a shame what we've done to our environment and the foods we eat. They do not have the same nutrition they had 20, 30 years ago. They don't, unless you go to a third world country. And, you know, like I've been to Brazil where I was born. It's a third world country. And I've eaten oranges off of a tree off of a farm. And that orange tastes totally different than an orange here. And there's not one type of orange that is orange. There's red oranges. There are green oranges that are sweeter than anything. Like there's 20 different types of oranges that when the first time I saw that, I'm like, oh my God, this even exists. So we think we know it all and we don't. So what I say to people that are listening to this, and that as please share this with anyone that is struggling with any type of disease, but definitely cancers, please, we want to help people with cancer. We want to give them a tool to help them fight this. And what if this is the answer for you? What if this helps? And you, like, what if I said no and I hadn't, you know, got this into my body, where would I be today? Would I even be here today? Like, right? Would you be here today? Forget the cancer. The autoimmune may have taken you down, you know, right?
I'll tell you this. Randy and I were having this conversation. You know, in my health journey, I literally, because I'd been so sick for so long, I did not believe that I would reach 50. I did not believe I would reach 50. I'll be 55 this year. And it was because of all of the issues that I had. It was because of everything that I had going on. And when I turned 50, it was a busy time for us. But guess what? I told Randy, I'm going to have the biggest celebration. And I don't say this lightly. I literally, for my 50th birthday, was literally celebrating the fact that I was alive, because I almost died in 2010. And so the fact that I reached 50 was a big deal for me. And so it is about taking, you know, it's about this amazing gift that we have. It's about saying, you know, being open to just hearing the information and just being able to just, again, taking control. I tell people, even when they say, let me run it by my doctor. When people say, well, let me check with my doctor, I tell them, you know what? Most doctors so far, they don't know about Nrf2 activation. They just don't know. And so a lot of times doctors don't believe in supplementation. They don't believe in supplementation, or they don't understand Nrf2 activation. So I tell people, you know, you have to be your own best advocate. Your doctor should certainly know about reducing oxidative stress. So if anything, you're not asking your doctor, should I take this? It should be, hey doctor, would it be a good idea to reduce my oxidative stress?
Or inflammation, because I know doctors that I talk to that have no clue what oxidative stress is. Yes. So I think a common word that, you know, doctors and lay people know is inflammation. So yeah, I think that's a great point, is ask your doctor, is it a good thing to reduce inflammation? Because Nrf2 activation says it can reduce inflammation. Is that a good thing for me? And if he says yes, then run with it, run with it.
Exactly. And I'll just share this, you know, and that inflammation marker, a lot of times for blood tests, is called CRP, C-reactive protein. There's C-reactive protein cardiac, and there's C-reactive protein high sensitivity. So a month before I started our Nrf2 activator, my doctor measured my CRP. My CRP cardiac, on that number, 0 is good, 3 is high. 3 is high. Mine was 12.43. Okay. 3 months later, it was down to 2.4. Okay. My CRP high sensitivity, which is measuring overall body inflammation. So if you've got arthritis, you've got any inflammation issue, any autoimmune issue, that CRP high sensitivity is a great measurement. So on that blood test, 0 is good. Okay. 4.9 is high. That's the high end of the scale. Mine was 15.3. Wow. And it went down to 2.7 3 months later. So you guys, the reduction of CRP, which is in our patents, that's a real thing. Yeah. So right. I just, you know, thank you. I hope that this has been helpful for anyone that's watching. What we have is super, super special. And it is about, number one, for folks that don't have anything going on, that are healthy, let's keep you healthy. Let's keep you healthy, right? And then if someone's got something going on, let's lower that oxidative stress. Let's lower that inflammation. Let's get your gut healthy. Let's improve that mitochondrial function, and let's get you back to being alive and thriving. Because I gotta tell you, I am the happy. People say, "Why are you so happy all the time, Brenda?" I'm alive, and I'm thriving, and I'm super grateful, and that's why I smile and I'm super happy. Is because I'm here and I'm pain-free.
Yes, and you're glowing and you look beautiful and you look healthy, like healthy, healthy, healthy. So love you so much. Thank you for sharing your story. I know it's not always easy, but I know we do it from our hearts to bless people, to make a difference in the world, make a difference in people's lives, and give them what if. What if this changes your health? What if this gives you your life back? So thank you, Brenda, for your time today.
You're so welcome.
And have a blessed day. Thank you, sweetie.
You too. Love you, Maria.
Love you.
Bye-bye.